and my pilgrimage with my really good friend Christian. She's a minister. We ended up taking a trip to Jerusalem, and we stopped in Athens, and we also went to Egypt. So it was just something, and it was just so interesting to be able to take a trip to experience all the things you hear about in the Bible, just to visualize and see all these things. And it was crazy because people were discouraging us to not go because they were bombing, I believe, on the Gaza Strip. And we were just like, you know what, we're going to trust God, we're going to go. So we ended up going, and it was like the best trip like ever. And even going, I still had a mindset and a mentality that like nobody's gonna save me. Like I gotta save myself. Like I'm a black woman in corporate America or whatever. Like nobody's coming to save you, sis. Save yourself. You know, that type of mentality. But then just forgetting like, yo, Jesus already died for you. Like he saved you, you know, like but going to Israel, like we talked about all the things we were gonna pray at the wall. She had a great list of things that she prayed about. I remember one of the things she prayed about was her getting married. Came back to the States. She met the guy that she was supposed to marry. We came back to the States and they got married. And it's just interesting. And for me, that was a miracle. I was just like, Jesus, you really listened to that prayer. Like we were stuffing letters in the Western Wall of all our prayers. I was even like on Facebook Live, asking people like, hey, who can I pray for? What do you want to pray? What do you want me to put on the wall? People were responding left and right. I was adding those prayers to my list. I was stuffing the paper in the wall. And then for me, I spent so much time like just praying for other people. Like I was just like, God, you know, do what you want with me. Like my life is fine. I feel like I don't have an issue. Like, you know, like I really don't have a prayer or whatever, like just specifically for me. Like I don't care about marriage. I don't care about, you know, all these things. Even though I want these things, I do want to be married, I do want to have children and all that. I do want to be better in my career and, you know, be an entrepreneur or whatever. But I didn't think about me. I was thinking about all those people who really needed the prayer. You know what I'm saying? Like, let me pray for these people. Let me get this stuff done because this stuff is going to happen for them. But coming from Israel and just being in Israel, feeling the presence of God, seeing all of these things, being at the Western Wall, hearing the prayers at the top of Mount of Olives, like just being in the Garden of Gethsemane, like just seeing all these things. I even have images of me sitting at the top, taking pictures and whatever, just feeling that presence and hearing like the prayers of other people around me. Like that was just like life changing, and I could feel the presence of God, man. It was real. That is definitely a holy city. And leaving there and coming back home, between talking to my therapist and my pilgrimage there, my life changed. Like my life changed tremendously, and my mindset changed, and I started praying in a position of power and authority, you know, and believing what I prayed. I was just like, you know, I was the one in the past, like I read about the miracles in the Bible. I knew that people believed it. And I'm just like, it's kind of far-fetched. I don't know if I believe those miracles or whatever. I was believing it for those people, but I wasn't believing that God could do the same for me. I wasn't believing that he could perform anything. Like God can do the impossible. There's nothing God can't do. And I realize that now. Like, so now when I pray, I believe my prayers. That's the difference. The reason why things weren't happening for me in the past was because I didn't believe what I was praying. I was just praying it because I'm like, Lord, I'm dealing with this. Like, help me. You know, it was out of distress and uncertainty. But now I'm praying from a position of power. And I am certain that God can do it, and he will do it, and he's going to do what's best for him and in his will. And anything that he feels is best for me, he knows me, he created me just like a maker of any product. You know, they send you details on how you work. God knows how I work. He knows what I need. He knows what's best for me, and trusting and believing that changed my life and how I pray. And I got to talk to God every day. I got to talk to God just like I'm talking to you or my mom or anybody else. It's important to talk to God. And what I left out and I didn't mention was when I got to Egypt. Egypt was the city was dusty. It was like a lot of sand everywhere. When we first arrived there, we were harassed by the men. Um, and I'm not here to talk down about Egypt or anything like that, but I'm telling you my experience. It was just me and her. We were harassed by the men. We got to a 4.5-star hotel, and the water didn't work for 2 hours. And then when the water started working, it was like brown rust of water like coming out. But good thing we were only there a day and a half. And we wanted to leave. Of course, we wanted to go see the pyramids. We wanted to go to the marketplace. We wanted to just go out and experience the city. But it was different. Like, we spent so much time being afraid. Like, it was, we were fearful for our lives. Like, even when we went out to the pyramids, they harassed us like left and right. They followed us around. They took like our phones out of our hands. They were taking our tickets that we paid for to be there, and like, oh, we'll show you and whatever. And then like they were like, I'll take pictures of you taking your phone before you even like hand it or extend the phone. They were just like, it was overwhelming, and we were afraid for our lives. Like, we thought like, oh my God, like something's gonna happen. So what we did was, my friend came with a great idea. She was just like, let's just hire one of the locals. Maybe they'll leave us alone. We hired a local, and he made them leave us alone. So he was able to put us on the camels. He took us around to see, the other big pyramids, and just to be able to experience it like in peace. And then he took us to get food, and it was really sad at one point too, because
what's your name?
There were a lot of orphanages. There were a lot of orphans that were
What's her
out
name?
there without parents. I was like, what are all these kids doing out here alone?
That's pretty.
And they begged. It was like, give me $1. They begged for money. And us, we were thinking like, let's give them money. And he's just like, no, because it's going to make the situation worse or whatever by giving them money and so forth. And he was just like, he was shooing them away. And that really broke my heart. I don't know. That was, Egypt was, I'm not interested in going back. I thank God I was able to experience it and see, and be in Egypt. I would love to have children and to take them on like an educational trip, but to Egypt, I would need to definitely have some type of security potentially or whatever. And again, I'm not here to talk down about Egypt or anything about the country. I know, it's in Africa, and they have their issues just like the United States. We have issues, but I didn't feel safe. But just taking that journey and experiencing that, even in Athens, oh my God, Athens was so beautiful. But I'm not here to talk about Athens. Just my pilgrimage to Jerusalem and in Egypt was like life-changing. So I came back and I got solid, and I started focusing on God. I was in God's word so often, and I, wrote letters to him every day, sometimes 3 times a day. I had pastors that I watch and follow. Some of my favorites, my top two would be Darius Daniels and Stephanie Ike. Stephanie's at One LA with Touré Roberts and Sarah Jakes. And Darius Daniels is in Orlando, Atlanta, and New Jersey. He's phenomenal. It's just something about him and his spirit. Like, it's just, yeah, they're my top 2. I have other pastors I like too. I like Jerry Flowers. I like Michael Todd. I like Stephen Furtick, T.D. Jakes, Sarah Jakes, Tony Evans. Yeah, but let's just give you history.